A major shakeup tonight at Boeing after a string of scary incidents involving the aircraft. The company's CEO announcing today he will step down.
China's government has reportedly ordered its domestic airlines to stop accepting deliveries of Boeing jets and to halt purchases of aircraft parts from the U.S.
Two overnight machinists at Boeing here in St. Louis are operating without a contract agreement.
Workers have voted down a recent offer, and the current agreement expired at midnight.
Capital that once flooded America's industrial core is now trickling elsewhere, and the path it's taking reveals a story few saw coming. Boeing, long the titan of U.S. aerospace, has quietly begun shifting critical pieces of its supply chain northward, opening doors for Canada that were once firmly shut. What started with a few contracts has grown into a clear trend, with Quebec and Ontario securing deals for assembly, avionics, and long-term maintenance, work that for decades was rooted in American soil. This shift is gaining traction, impossible to overlook. The change is tangible, not just symbolic. Winnipeg's expansion, with Boeing adding 12,000 square feet, including a massive composite freezer built to hold at -23 degrees C, signals a commitment to permanence, not a fleeting trial. Meanwhile, the impact back home is stark. Aerospace stocks have bled billions, shaking markets and retirement funds, while workers in Washington, Kansas, and Missouri grapple with growing unease about what lies ahead. If contracts can cross borders so easily, what's stopping a broader exodus of jobs? Could this mark the opening chapter of a fundamental reshaping of North America's aviation landscape? Let's dive in. In places like Everett, Washington, Wichita, Kansas, and St. Louis, Missouri, the roar of jet engines once guaranteed steady jobs and dependable pay. These communities were forged in aerospace, their lives timed to the pulse of factory lines and the glow of early morning plant lights. Now, that rhythm is stuttering. A contract moving to Canada isn't just a line item in a budget. It upends entire towns. Economists have long cautioned that losing one aerospace job can take 3 others with it, from nearby diners serving fewer breakfasts to clinics with emptying waiting rooms and small businesses buckling under fading local wages. The ripple effect touches every facet of life. The strain is most intense in avionics, a high-stakes corner of the industry. Ontario has emerged as a new hub, where American subcontractors, once untouchable, now face a Canadian network bolstered by government support and ties to European markets. Contracts that once seemed locked in the U.S. are now being wooed by Canadian firms offering reliability, and the fallout extends far beyond factory floors. A slump in aircraft manufacturing doesn't just empty hangars. It sends tremors through supply chains, from metal foundries to chemical plants, all feeding Boeing's operations. Even financial markets aren't immune. Pension funds in states like Illinois, California, and New York, heavily invested in aerospace, are reeling as billions in market value vanish, unsettling investors who once viewed the sector as a bedrock of the U.S. economy. What seems like a shift in contracts is already redrawing the economic map of America's heartland. If this trend grows, the damage won't stop at factory gates. To grasp why this is happening, you need to trace the policies that sparked the shift. What began as a trickle of contracts moving north stems from deeper roots. Tariffs meant to protect American industry have instead fractured it. Since 2024, Washington's sweeping duties on imported aircraft parts aimed to shield domestic markets, but instead brought chaos, higher costs, delayed deliveries, and relentless uncertainty. By April 2025, Reuters was sounding alarms that tariff confusion could stall aircraft deliveries, capturing the anxiety rippling through the industry. Airlines, suppliers, and regulators began questioning whether contracts could even be met on time. Canada seized the moment. Its officials and trade groups highlighted the self-inflicted wounds of U.S. policy, noting how engine repairs and component maintenance were growing costlier not due to labor or tech shortages, but because of red tape. KPMG's February 2025 report called the tariff regime profoundly disruptive, warning it could unravel aerospace supply chains entirely. Where the U.S. erected barriers, Canada offered stability, tipping the scales. But Canada's ascent isn't just about America's missteps. For decades, Canada has meticulously built the groundwork for this moment, developing infrastructure, training skilled workers, and fostering tech clusters with precision. Now, those efforts are bearing fruit. Winnipeg stands out. In June 2025, Boeing unveiled a 12,000-square-foot expansion to its composites facility, including a 7,000-square-foot freezer for advanced materials at -23 degrees Celsius. This, the fifth expansion since 1971, backed by 20 million Canadian dollars, is a clear signal of long-term investment. Boeing's operations already contribute nearly 4 billion Canadian dollars annually to Canada's economy, supporting 14,000 jobs nationwide, with 1,500 in Winnipeg alone. These span engineering, research, and advanced manufacturing, anchoring entire ecosystems. The Montreal-Toronto corridor, meanwhile, has become a global aerospace powerhouse, with universities, research centers, and suppliers tightly integrated. Analysts note it's one of the few regions outside the U.S. ready to scale up production instantly when contracts arrive. This isn't a stopgap, it's a fully equipped alternative to what the U.S. once dominated.